All right, let's jump right into it. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to walk through a seriously intense thought experiment together. We are going to explore the exact psychological and really the logistical sequence of waking up with just unimaginable, world-shaping wealth. We aren't just talking about winning a standard lottery here. This is about a dawn that completely rewrites the reality of your entire existence. So let's step into this scenario and break down exactly what happens in those first 24 hours. Picture this. Your regular morning alarm goes off. You yawn, do that half-asleep stretch, and just out of pure muscle memory, you reach over for your phone on the nightstand. You clear a few random notifications, and then you open your banking app. And right there, staring back at you on the screen you check every single day, is this exact shocking balance. $100 billion. Just let that number sit in your mind for a second. 11 zeros trailing off the edge of the screen, completely making you question your own eyes. For that first minute of discovery, it is just absolute breathless internal chaos. I mean, your very first thought is obviously, okay, this is a glitch. This has to be a massive banking error. You close the app, you reopen it, you frantically refresh the screen again and again and again, but the number doesn't change. Your heart is absolutely pounding as you finally get a representative from the bank on the phone. And after a truly surreal series of transfers and holds, the bank confirms the impossible. The money is real. It's actually yours. Right in that instant, your life totally splits into a before and an after. That normal morning routine of, brewing a cup of coffee, feeding the dog, or checking the bus schedule to get to work, yeah, that is completely obliterated. You are no longer living in the same world you fell asleep in. And the wild part is, this immediate shift isn't about deciding to go buy a luxury sports car. It's entirely about sheer survival in a completely new ecosystem. Because here's the thing, the reality of extreme wealth isn't glamorous at all. It's highly administrative. You're immediately forced onto the phone to execute some pretty sterile, pure survival logistics. Step 1, you need to hire a full-time private security detail to lock down your physical location. Step 2, you've got to retain some seriously high-level legal counsel. And step 3, you are freezing every public record you possibly can. It hits you with terrifying speed that your anonymity, that quiet comfort of just being a face in the crowd, is gone forever. You're now the world's newest and arguably most vulnerable billionaire. Now, let's take a breath and try to actually mathematically comprehend what having $100 billion even means. Our human brains are notoriously bad at visualizing numbers this large. We understand 1,000, we can sort of wrap our heads around 1,000,000, but 1 billion? Let alone 100 billion? It requires a complete recalibration of how we even perceive value in resources. When you compare a lifetime of average human earnings to $100 billion, those lifetime earnings barely even register. They're just a tiny microscopic speck next to this towering, massive new baseline. You aren't just rich anymore. You've completely transcended wealth. You are, for all intents and purposes, a walking economy. You literally possess a GDP greater than a lot of entire sovereign nations. This kind of scale totally redefines the word purchase. You now have the capital to just casually buy up not a sports team, but entire sports leagues. You could snap up thousands of luxury properties all over the globe and just let them sit there empty. Or pay. You could single-handedly fund your own independent space exploration programs. Your wealth isn't personal anymore. It's world-shaping. You possess the financial lever to literally move the earth. But almost as quickly as that godlike awe hits you, things start shifting into something much darker and way more dangerous. We're talking overwhelming social chaos and extreme isolation. Having this much gravity means everything and everyone is pulled towards you in these unnatural, truly terrifying ways. Within hours, the news inevitably leaks, and your phone practically explodes. It's a rapid-fire barrage. You look down and there are 500, then 1,000, then 10,000 urgent notifications just flooding your social media, your texts, your inbox. Everyone you have ever known since kindergarten and millions of people you've never even met suddenly discover your new status. Suddenly, you're trapped in this truly bizarre psychological vice. On one hand, you're getting desperate pleas from long-lost, distant family members throwing heartbreaking stories at you and demanding salvation. And then on the other hand, you're fending off aggressive investment pitches from total strangers, tech founders, and opportunists just trying to grab a slice of your pie. It completely warps how human beings treat you. Every single conversation is now suspect. Every interaction comes with a hidden agenda. This extreme wealth isolates you from genuine human connection, almost overnight. So the narrative very rapidly shifts away from what you can buy for yourself to your unprecedented global impact and your profound responsibility. When you've got more money than most small countries, buying mega mansions and super yachts loses its appeal really quickly. The question stops being, what can I buy, and becomes, what can I change? Think about the power of just a tiny 1% sliver of your total net worth. 1% is $1 billion. To you, at this point, that is basically a statistical rounding error. It's a fraction so utterly small, it barely even registers against your overall capital. But the real-world application of that 1%, it's staggering. With just that single $1 billion, you could walk in and completely fund a massive metropolitan school system for years. You could build a state-of-the-art medical research lab, fully staff it with the absolute greatest minds on Earth, and set them loose to cure diseases. And you do all that without making a true dent in your net worth. The responsibility of holding that much potential energy is just overwhelming, isn't it? If you have the power to fix a systemic global issue with a stroke of a pen, is it a moral failure if you don't? Does inaction become an active choice when you hold the keys to that kind of change? Then, as the sun finally sets on your first utterly chaotic day as the world's newest billionaire, things start to slow down. The frantic phone calls stop. Your new security team gets the perimeter locked down. The lawyers finally go to sleep. And an intimately quiet realization settles over you in the total silence of your room. You're sitting there, staring at your glowing phone screen in the dark, and you open the app one last time. That impossible number, $100 billion, it's still there. It wasn't a dream. That glowing screen forces a massive, profound moral reckoning. You now have ultimate freedom, for sure, but you are also bound by the ultimate responsibility. As we wrap up this explainer today, I really want to leave you with this provocative final thought. Does having this ultimate power actually change your humanity? Does it corrupt you or turn you into a totally different person? Or, maybe far more terrifyingly, does it simply strip away every single excuse you've ever had, completely removing the barrier of "I can't afford to," and finally reveal exactly who you were always meant to be? Think about what you would do. Thank you so much for joining me on this thought experiment, and keep asking the big questions.